This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.
All right, welcome into the Arizona's Family podcast studio. Nick King here. We're going to call this a Mercury Monday. Got Ann Meyers Drysdale, the Hall of Famer, on the line here with us. Coming off of two really fun games for you guys to watch, for all of us to watch, but for you to be broadcasting, be the analyst, Annie, which coincidentally or not, the first two games of the season for Brittany Griner. So let's just start with kind of the excitement level of seeing this team pull out a couple of obviously very close wins in two great games.
Yeah, and I said at the beginning of the season, we're going to have a lot of grind out games this season. And to have Allen back along with BG, BG's first two games, and Beck missed 5 games with that concussion. But, there's no question. I think Nate Tibbetts has come in, and there's a lot of energy, a lot of positive excitement. The players have responded to him, and having Natasha Cloud and Ka Copper, two new additions that are really strong veterans, and to go along with Diana Taurasi and Sophie and Shug Sutton and Mac. And Natasha Mack has really done a great job filling in for BG. But you can't beat 6'9", right?
Uh-huh.
And she just is such a great rim protector. And even when she gets the ball inside, they're double, triple teaming her, and she's passing, and she's really learned over the years how to pass out of the double team.
I was reminded yesterday watching her, you talk about can't beat 6'9", like there's just not a lot that defenders can do when she catches and wants to shoot the ball. Like it's pretty routine, and it's pretty routine after missing, a month and a half, whatever it's been. Like it's just it was very smooth yesterday.
Well, I think the big thing too, Nick, is that she really worked hard in the offseason. Obviously last year, being in Russia, and then I was as surprised as anybody that she came back to play.
Mm-hmm.
And her heart is so, pure. It really is. And she wants to play. She loves to play. But last year there was a lot of things going on, and I like that she did take games off for her mental health. And but this off season was the first time she didn't go overseas and play. So she worked with Nate and his staff. And I think Megan Vogel and Mike Joyner have done a tremendous job helping BG out with different things, coming from a different perspective. And so she was ready. And unfortunately that she broke her toe on media day. And just like, oh my gosh, she was so ready, and conditioning wise and so forth. So, it's still going to take some games with her timing, with her chemistry, with her wind. All those things just don't happen in 1 or 2 games, and also in practice. So it could be a few more games before they really kind of connect with each other. As I said, Natasha Mack has been a terrific addition as far as filling in for BG, but at 6'3", 6'4", she doesn't, have that height that BG does to protect the rim. But I tell you, she's a great shot blocker, and she sets unbelievable screens, and on the pick and roll, she's wonderful to get her teammates open. So, they're all still trying to learn each other.
The league feels really competitive, and maybe you look at the Sun and the Liberty right now as being on the top, and maybe you don't feel like the Mercury are going to win as consistently as those two teams. But I'm watching this group and feeling especially what the potential is with BG out there. Like any given night, they can be as good as anyone. And I don't know. I'm kind of after a rough couple of years, to me, like it's exciting watching this group, and they seem to really enjoy playing with each other. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I'm glad you feel that way. But yes, they all have respect for each other and enjoy playing with each other. And again, that comes from the top. Nate Tibbetts and Nick Urin, who is the new general manager, and Monica Wright. I think she's done a terrific job too as an assistant GM, and just the whole addition of a lot of different people. And it's a fresh look. It's a fresh attitude. It's very positive. As I said, there's a lot of energy with Nate Tibbetts. He works out with the players during the off season. When he came in, he was working out with Diana and Brittany and Sophie. So he's got a great connection with the team. And so this is his first go around, though, also understanding, game situations and who the talent is from the other organizations, and that also takes time. But it's fun to broadcast the games. As I said, there's going to be a lot of tight games, and we may lose some, but we're going to win some too. And we've got as good a chance still as anybody else to win a championship. And I think that's putting a team together, and you can only do that and put yourself in that position just to try to win. And it's a team that doesn't give up. I mean, they fight till the end.
Yeah, we all in Phoenix should have known how good Kalia Copper is, given that she was the Finals MVP a couple years ago.
Kalia is not Kalia, it's Kalia, and so she goes by Ka.
That is new to me.
Most sports people call her Kalia, but it's Kalia.
Okay.
FYI. Having Ka Copper is she was the MVP of the Finals when Phoenix lost to Chicago, and she was a young talent and was traded from Washington for Elena Deladon to Chicago, and I think we're getting the best of her.
I was gonna say Ka and Tosh, those two from Philly. There's something about their mentality and their attitude that is really, really fun to watch too, and that I've seems like Diana really connects with, and that she loves having those two out there. What do you think those two have brought, Ka and Tosh?
Well, it takes a lot of pressure off Diana. She'll be 42 on Tuesday, and she is still playing at a high level. I don't think I've seen anybody work as hard as her on her game, even at this level. She takes care of her body. Unfortunately, the last few years, she's had some injuries at the end, and I think that's one thing that Nate Tibbetts is concerned about as far as monitoring her minutes to save her for the end of games, and certainly for the end of the season and for the playoffs. But also, this is an Olympic year, and so that makes it tough. But we got 3 players going to the Olympic team: Copper, Griner, and Taurasi, which is awesome. But there's no question that I think Tosh Cloud has really come in and run the offense, which takes a lot of pressure off Diana. Of course, the game yesterday against Dallas, you saw Diana running the point at the end. But she makes great decisions, and but in handling the ball, bringing it up, that takes a lot of pressure off Diana to have Cloud doing that. And Cloud led the league in assists, a couple years ago. She's won a WNBA title. Copper's won a WNBA title. She knows what it is like to be at that level. She's had 4 games with 30-plus points. Diana continues to score points. She's had a 30-something point game. Cloud's had several double-doubles with her assists. And so everybody's sharing the basketball and buying into the offense, and especially the defense, too, that Tibbetts has brought. You look at Dallas, and the first game we played the Wings, Arike Ogunbowale, who's an unbelievable player, had 40 on us and 19 in that fourth quarter. Yesterday, she scored 25, which is still some spectacular shots that she made. But the defense, I thought, really picked up with Cloud and Copper guarding Ogunbowale, and then also Cloud, who's been guarding all different positions, guarded Billings. Billings had 10 and 5 in the first half, and she was held to, she had 5 more rebounds in the second half, but was able to keep her off the boards and keep her from scoring so much. And I think our defense really gets overlooked.
Yeah, and Arike, she is awesome. It took her 27 shots to get 25 points, so she had to work.
Your volume shooters is like Caitlin Clark. she's a volume shooter on that particular team, and they've got some good young talent in Indiana. But, we've seen that throughout the league that, Diana at one point in her career maybe was a volume shooter. But also, if you look at her career over 20 years, she didn't shoot more than 17 times. There were certain games she'd get 20-something shots up. But the majority of her career, she's only averaged between 15 and 17 shots.
You touched on Diana's work ethic and habits and the shots. The 30-point game that she had recently was on 14 field goal attempts, which was the most efficient 30-point game she's ever had. I don't know. I forgot to check currently, but as of a couple of days ago, she was leading the W in 3-pointers.
No, Kayla McBride has passed her. Kayla McBride had 7 yesterday.
There we go.
She had 8 on us and 7. So I think she's only leading by about 2. I think Caitlin and Diana are tied, and McBride's 1 or 2 more.
Just for Diana to even be right there again, turning 42 tomorrow. I don't know.
Gives hope to a lot of other players.
Like, was there any room left for her to impress you? Is she still kind of blowing your mind?
Yeah, I mean, she's so savvy. Obviously, playing this long, she understands how to play the game. When things aren't going for her, she does other things, like yesterday and taking over the point guard position and getting the ball to BG and knowing how to get the ball to BG or setting screens. I mean, her screens are pretty volatile. I mean, she knows how to set the screens. Now she gets away with some, she doesn't get away with some. But I think mentally out there, emotionally, she can lose it sometimes and pick up some tees. But again, it's a matter of how she's done this for so long. And she understands how to get her team going.
She has not lost
No, she has never lost the competitive spirit. But even in the Minnesota game, the fact that Tibbetts drew up a play for her at the end of the game with 4.1 seconds left, and she goes, "No, Ka's the one that's hot. Let's get her the ball." And you don't have too many players saying that, but as a leader and somebody that understands the game and understands the personnel, and that's why she's on the Olympic team, her 6th Olympic team, and has deserved every part of it. A lot of people don't like it. Give it a chance to a younger player, but she's earned the right. She's been in USA basketball over half her life. She is committed to the United States of America, playing for the basketball team to represent her country. And I always go back to, I remember when there were a lot of announcers, Nick, they were saying that Arnold Palmer should retire. He should give up not going to the Masters. He's taken a spot from some other young golfer. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy made golf where it is today. I mean, Arnold Palmer, I don't care if he's 80, he should be able to play in the Masters. And because people want to see him. And people want to see Caitlin Clark, but they want to see Diana Taurasi too. And Diana Taurasi has been a huge part of this league in getting it where it is today. But I certainly love the new really influx of this new talent and these new young players coming in, and just their moxie and their savvy and their understanding of the game. And the game is changing all the time. And so it's a new crop of kids that have really made a name for themselves. But, don't lose sight of the old guard.
Okay. And that leads us in. You mentioned Caitlin Clark. Obviously, a big discussion this weekend. The latest Caitlin Clark discussion is the Olympics and not being part of that team. Did it surprise you at all? And how do you feel about that?
Well, listen, Michael Vogel wrote a great article, and Rebecca Lobo had a great comment on it. And what people don't understand, that USA basketball today is so unlike when I played, which is years and years ago, that we were amateurs and now they're pros. And USA basketball now has a system, and they have a 16 and under, 17 and under. They're always playing in different competitions representing their country from the time they're 16. So there's this pool that has been growing and growing. And certainly Caitlin Clark has played USA basketball, but during these times of preparing for the Olympics, there are certain trials that are attended by the players that have been playing, or they've been over in competitions. And so the majority of those teams are been together and know each other. The chemistry has to come together quick, but because you only have about 2 weeks to prepare for the Olympics, even on the men's side. And I find it fascinating. Nobody's saying anything about LeBron James going for his 5th Olympics. But there's no question. I was hoping that Caitlin Clark would be on this team. There's no question, because of the eyes that she has brought. But believe me, when you get to the Olympics, the stands are full. The stands are full. The NBC is going to be covering women's basketball, as they are every other sport. And so as much as these latecomers not understanding where women's basketball has been and where it's come and where it's going with these young players like Caitlin Clark, yes, she'll have another opportunity. And, this is a team that a lot of these players have played USA basketball together. And I don't know if Caitlin has been on some of those teams that has played with these other players, but these are the veterans, and they've got a committee that selects it. And and certainly you always love to have a younger player on the team to kind of process them through to the next Olympics. But we know that Young and Plum were on the 3-on-3 in the Olympics in 2020 and won gold. And then you've got the youngster really is Copper and Ionescu. And then they put on Alyssa Thomas, who's a newbie. It's her first time, but she's been playing USA basketball the last year with a lot of these different players. So I'm disappointed that Caitlin didn't make it, but you don't always pick the 12 best players. You pick the 12 best that work together. And I will say that from the day one in 1976 on our Olympic team to every other Olympic team, and not just women's basketball. You can say that with a lot of teams that represent, whether it's water polo or soccer or softball or men's basketball or the other men's sports and so forth that are team sports. They're all selected differently, and not always. Lisa Fernandez, the great softball pitcher from UCLA, made 3 Olympic teams, and they kept her off an Olympic team. She was the best pitcher in the country at that time, and we lost the gold. And so yes, I think sometimes players get left off, and who are you going to replace? And that's always a topic of conversation. But I love the fact, Nick, that we are even having this conversation, because it shows you that people are interested.
So you were in college in '76, and you were in high school when you first started playing with USA Basketball, right? Which is just, yes. Which is just wild.
But we were amateurs, and you didn't really have the opportunity to play 3 and 4 Olympics, maybe two. And the WBL had just started, the first women's pro league. And that really, to me, the WBL is a precursor of where the WNBA is today, because those women from Title IX and the WBL, they're the ones that really kind of started things. And the women before us, really.
You were, we could do a long conversation about how far ahead of your time you were. But I really appreciate that perspective, and I hear what you're saying, all of it. So thanks, Annie. And yes, we'll be watching the Olympics regardless. And now we got 25% of the roster are Mercury players. And like I said, I think this
is the All-Star game. Phoenix is hosting the All-Star game.
Yes, right before that.
That'll be fun. Yes.
Can't wait for that. And I'm just genuinely enjoying watching this team play. So the rest of the regular season as well, until we get to the All-Star game and after they get back from the Olympics, I think there's some bright moments ahead for this team.
Well, I agree with you. And I think what really helps them, too, when they're home, our X Factor fans have just been incredible. And they always have been. And, the thing is, with Caitlin Clark in the league now, it has pumped up a lot of attendance in all the arenas. And so Cindy Brunson, who I work with, Cindy's all about, come on, X Factor fans, you got to come out. And I'm thinking, because we're not as high. We were 1 and 2 last few years in attendance, but we've dropped because of all the attendance that goes to see Caitlin Clark. But our X Factor fans from day one in 1997, with Cheryl Miller as the coach and coined the X Factor fans, they've been tremendous.
Yeah, the reaction in there to Ka's game winner the other night was awesome. It was incredible.
That's a great word for it.
All right, Annie, thanks so much for taking the time on an off day, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next broadcast on Thursday against the Aces.
You got it. Good talking to you, Nick.
Appreciate you.
This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.